Once upon a time, in a small, run-down village, there lived a boy named Ethan. His family had little, just a fragile house, a few possessions, and the unbreakable bond of love between them. Though they struggled, they always found joy in the small things, but fate was cruel. Ethan's father fell seriously ill. With no money for a doctor, they could only watch as his condition worsened. The day his father took his last breath, something inside Ethan shifted. A boy who once laughed without worry now carried a weight far too heavy for his young shoulders. Still grieving, Ethan made a promise to his mother. "I will take care of you and my sister. One day I will make sure you never have to suffer again." His mother smiled through her pain, holding his hands. "Ethan, life will test you, but if you stay strong, you'll find your way." Her words became his guiding light, but life had more tests in store. Soon after, Ethan's brother fell sick, and just like before, they had no money for medicine. Days later, he too was gone. Now only Ethan, his mother, and his little sister remained. The hunger in their home was no longer just in their stomachs, it was in their eyes, their voices, their fading hope. Ethan couldn't let his family break. So he worked. At dawn, he cleaned streets. By afternoon, he carried bags in the market. At night, he took factory shifts. His hands blistered, his body ached. But he never stopped, and in the quiet hours when exhaustion threatened to consume him, he studied. English words scribbled on scraps of paper, sentences repeated under his breath as he worked. He knew that knowledge could be his ticket out, but the world was unkind to the poor. Ethan loved a girl named Lily. They had grown up together, shared dreams of the future, but her parents saw only what Ethan lacked. "You're poor," they told him. "You have nothing to offer our daughter," Lily cried. Ethan did too, but he didn't beg. Instead, he whispered to himself, "One day they'll regret this." Years passed. One fateful day, a wealthy businessman named Mr. Johnson visited the factory where Ethan worked. As he walked past, he overheard something unexpected. Ethan, speaking fluent English. Mr. Johnson stopped in his tracks. "Where did you learn to speak like that?" Ethan wiped the sweat from his face. "I taught myself, sir." Impressed, the businessman saw something in Ethan's talent, drive, an unstoppable force, waiting to be unleashed. "Come work for me," he said, "not in the factory, but in my office." It was the opportunity Ethan had prayed for. He grabbed it with both hands. He worked harder than ever before, learning, improving, proving his worth. And Mr. Johnson saw it. One day, he called Ethan into his office. "Ethan, you've been loyal, hardworking, and smart. I want you to take over my company." Ethan's heart stopped. "Me? But sir, you earned this," Mr. Johnson interrupted. "This company needs a leader like you." And just like that, the poor boy who once had nothing became the CEO. But Ethan didn't forget where he came from. With his first earnings, he bought his mother and sister a beautiful home. The day he handed his mother the keys, she cried like the day they lost everything. But this time they were tears of joy. And then something unexpected happened. Lily's parents, who once told him he was worthless, came to see him. "Ethan," they said, "you've become a great man. Our daughter still loves you. Will you forgive us?" Ethan smiled. "I don't hold grudges," he said, "but I've moved on. My success was never about proving anything to you. It was always about fulfilling my promise to my family." Years later, Ethan didn't just stop at his own success. He built schools for poor children, scholarships for struggling students, and businesses to give others the opportunities he never had, because he knew what it was like to have nothing, and he wanted to make sure no one else had to fight alone. Success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Keep pushing, keep fighting, because one day you'll look back and realize that every struggle was leading you to something greater.